This is Prunus Laurocerasus, English Laurel. And the one you're looking at here is one that has not been pruned, which is rare with this plant, but I wanted to show an example of it because I still think it's a beautiful evergreen shrub in its natural form without being pruned. But mostly you see this used as a very large hedge, as you see here. This is about 7 to 8 feet tall around a larger residence, and especially in older areas, this has been used a lot that way. I've seen this used up in Vancouver, Canada, quite a bit the same way, and this plant will get 10 to 15 feet tall without any trouble. You also see this in older estates. The nice thing about it too is it's very long lived. I've seen this 30, 40, 50-year-old and still hanging in there. Oftentimes though, if they get older, you might see some dieback, but overall very long-lived plant. So one of the things I love about this is the big glossy leaf that you see here. These are anywhere from 4 to 7 inches long and 2 to 3 inches wide. What you're seeing here is where it's been clipped though, and this is what I don't love about it is if you use it in a large scale planting like they have here for this hedge, the typical maintenance person will just hack the side of it with pruning shears, and over time you'll end up getting some pretty rough look to the plant because the sides, when you cut them, you tend to cut through the leaf. These are pretty well maintained actually because you mostly see uncut leaves, and so this is a pretty good example of how to use this as a large-scale hedge. If I were going to plant this way, I would probably plant these at about 5 feet on center. You can certainly put them further apart. They will get larger than that, but the thing that happens is just how long do you want to wait for them to fill in side to side, and I have found that kind of 5 feet on center is a pretty good bet to get infill within a couple of years. And if you're even less patient, you could put them as close as 3 feet on center. So these are fairly drought tolerant once they're established. They prefer some regular water. They're going to look better, and they also like to have some food. They're going to have a darker green leaf. That first shot you saw was a kind of chlorotic or yellowy leaf, and what I found with these, a friend of mine, I used in his yard 15 years ago, and these will just run out of nitrogen and turn all yellow on you at times. So if you have that, my experience is that you can go in and you hit them with nitrogen and they'll bounce back from that, and you'll get a lot of healthy new growth to kind of push them out of that state. These are deer tolerant mostly. This is in a deer area you see here, but it's also, I've seen just down the street where the deer were trimming those. So if you can get them established and more mature, the deer will tend to leave them alone eventually, but young ones they will groom, and so I would just say protect these if you're going to put them in deer areas as they're getting established before you just let the deer go at them. Again, I think in design, the best thing I like about these is they're a very nice dark green plant, and with this shiny foliage, and I like using them as a backdrop or a large screen plant. But in most cases, this is going to need pruning because it just becomes more plant than most residential applications would call for. So just know that when you're using it, that's going to be something that's going to come up, and you want to account for that in the way that you use it. By the way, this is quite hardy. It can handle temperatures well below freezing, and also it takes the very intense heat. If you're going to be in a hot inland valley like we are, where it gets in the hundreds during the summer, I've seen this in full sun, but I would say it's going to look better in part shade if it's under if it's got the protection from the hottest part of the day, but it can handle full sun. Also, most designers seem to use this as about a 6-foot high hedge. If you're going to do that, you will probably end up needing to prune it about once a year to get it, keep it in size, and then account for it being a good 5 feet wide. Any tighter than that, it will need to be over pruned, and you won't like the way that will look. And that is Prunus Laurocerasus, English Laurel.